We'll record this for posterity. Of course, my favorite student always gets her name on here. Number 1, A says find the acceleration. So I'm going to use my DFIC approach. And this is not the end-all, be-all, Jacqueline. This is purely to give you a hook on which to hang a starting approach for physics. I honestly, as I get better and better at stuff, don't use this approach all the time. But for now, just to write something down, I would say that. I would mentally have noticed that word, and I would say, okay, VI is 0, D is 18, T is 4, and now I'd like to try to find the equation. I would say I'm looking for an equation that has a D, an A, a VI, and a T in it. There is one. It's this one. D equals 1/2 AT squared. Mr. Dewick, isn't it D equals VIT plus 1/2 AT squared? Or is it? Why didn't I bother writing the VIT? It's 0. Okay. You can. I'm not going to take marks off if you do, but you've noticed I tend to abbreviate if I can. I need to get the A by itself. Okay. The D stays where it is. That 1/2 isn't a 1/2. Now, if you made the 1/2 a 0.5, that's fine. But here's what I actually see. I see a times by 1 and a divide by 2. That's really what 1/2 means. Did I say divide by 2? On the other side, I'll times by 2. Did I say times by 1? On the other side, Maggie, I'll divide by 1. Will dividing by 1 change anything? I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm trying to get the A by itself. What's the T squared doing to the A? Why, it's multiplying, so I'll divide. This is my new equation. Do I need to square root this? No, because I don't need to get rid of a squared. I'm happy with the squared on the T still. So I'm going to get 2 times 18 divided by 4 squared. Which, ooh, I can do this in my head because it's going to be 36 over 16, which is going to be 18 over 4, 9 over, is it 4.5? No, I made a mistake. Is it 4? No. Do it. 36 divided by 16. Divide by 4. It's going to be 9 over 4. 2.25. I was twice as big as I should have been. 2.25, yes? Wow. 2.25 what? Units. It's an acceleration. So, and that's why I say it's worth memorizing the units so that at the end when you say, what are the units? It's an acceleration. Boom, it pops into your head without you having to do any dramatic thinking. If you got that 2 out of 2, how many sig figs should I go to? Oh, actually, technically 3, so I'm okay with that. If you got that wrong, I would give you 1 mark for that, half mark for that, half mark for the... Sorry, let me try that again, Mr. Dewick. I would give you 1 whole mark for getting the A by itself, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answer. The final speed, okay, they want me to find VF. Joel, I don't think the situation has changed. They haven't changed the time or anything, so I'm not going to relist everything. I've got it up there. How can I find VF? I could use... and get the VF by itself. You know what? I'm going to use VF equals VI plus AT. Now, the risk with that is I'm using my answer from part A to get this. In fact, really, I could have just written VF equals AT. Why didn't I bother writing the VI? It's 0. The only risk with doing it this way, Dylan, is if I got A wrong, I'm getting B wrong. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure I got A right. I'm lazy. So I'm going to do it this way. It's going to be 2.25 times 4, which is 10 even. Yes? Is it 10 even? No? Yes? 10? No? Am I wrong? 2.25 was the acceleration, was it not? Time is 4. 9! 9! What someone says when Cole asks them for a date. 9! Oh. Sorry. 9! If you did it that way, I would go 1 mark, half mark, half mark. If you did it the other way, you would say, well, VI is 0. I think you'd end up with VF equals 2D over T. I think. And that would also get you the same answer, I think. Boy, that one's going to get me in trouble on YouTube. 9! I'll have all these angry Reddits. Who's this poor cool kid? He's a basketball player. I've coached or whatever. Number 2. Looks like VI is 1.5, VF is 8.6, T is 4.5. If I'm looking for an equation, I think it's going to be A equals VF minus VI over T. Is that correct, folks? I'm going from memory here. Oh, by the way, probably at this stage, David, you may have memorized a few of these equations out of laziness and repetition, which really is the only reason you should memorize, because you get sick of looking them up. But they are on your green sheet, so in June, when we're revisiting this on the final exam, do you have to dredge these from memory? No, you'll be okay. VF is going to be 8.6 minus VI 1.5 all over T 4.5. This one gives me a yucky one. I can't do this one in my head. I'll need a calculator. Okay, I opened it twice accidentally, Mr. Duick. Yes, I did. Bracket 8.6 minus 1.5, close bracket, divided by 4.5. Do you get 1.57777777? By the way, is that number right there actually an 8? Or is my calculator lying to me? Yeah, my calculator rounds off as well. So you always need to take whatever's coming from your calculator with a bit of distrust. You might have made a typo, which is why often, Oliver, you're going to hear me explain to you that sometimes there are built-in error checks where we know the biggest the answer can possibly be or the smallest the answer can possibly be. So if we get something out of that range, we know we've made a typo. But also it rounds off. I'm going to go, I would take 1.6, and technically you should go to 2 sig figs. I'm going to go 1.58 meters per second squared. I'll go to 3 sig figs. Now, if you wrote 1.57, I'm taking a half mark off, and Mateo, I'm saying, learn to round off properly. Because next to that 7, there was another 7, which would have made this one an 8. We don't just truncate, we don't just chop off, we round off properly. 1 mark, half mark, half mark. Distance traveled. Yeah. I'm good with that too. Yep. Sorry, 1.57 repeating? Absolutely. I forgot to say that one. Usually I mention that one too. D equals... you know what? This time I am going to use the equation that I hardly use. The VI plus VF over 2 times T. You could also use D equals VIT plus a half A T squared. Hannah, you'll just be using your answer from part A. But here, I got the D by itself in this equation anyhow. No matter what, I got an equation where the D is already by itself. So I can go full lazy. It's going to be 1.5 plus 8.6 divided by 2 times 4.5. How do I type that in? It's going to vary from calculator to calculator. On my calculator, I can go 1.5 plus 8.6 in brackets, and then I can put a 4.5 right there, and my calculator knows I'm multiplying. Some of your calculators might give you an error there. You might have to put a times sign between the bracket and the 4.5. Christy, that's for you. Have I gone on my calculator rant occasionally? That's for you to figure out and play around with. Divided by... No, not divided by 4.5, Mr. Duke. Divided by 2. Do you get 22.725? Is that right? 22.7, 23 technically, I think, based on the information they gave you. I'll go 22.7. And it's meters. The only thing I'd take off a half mark off is if you said 22.72. No, it's 7.3 if you're going to go to 4 sig figs. As always, 1 mark, half mark, half mark. How far? The initial is 24, and I guess VF is 0, stopping. What's A? And I'm going to give you a hint. It's not 3.8. Why negative? Slowing down. Now, Often I'll say slows down with an acceleration of negative 3.8, and you can just assume that I gave you the negative. But probably once on the test, I will use the term slows down and give you the magnitude of the acceleration just to make sure you're paying attention. Negative 3.8. And I want to get the d by itself. I think you'll end up going with d equals vf squared minus vi squared all over 2a. Now, let me point out, again, if you can't get this stage, you need to come into a flex block, and I can get you there. But if you cannot get the equation, you're setting yourself up for a really ugly test. So make sure you see me if you're still having trouble with that. I can totally get you there. It's going to be, Nick, 0 squared, yes, minus 24 squared all over 2 times negative 3.8. By the way, as we're slowing down, are we moving forwards or backwards in this question? Christian? And this is a displacement, technically. We are going to end up in front. I should get a positive answer. If you missed the negative acceleration, you would get a negative displacement, and that should make you a little bit nervous. I ended up behind me? Don't think so. So, 0 squared minus 24 squared. I probably didn't need to type the 0 squared. I could have just gone minus or negative and then 24 squared, but whatever. Divided by bracket 2 times negative 3.8, close bracket. You get 75.8? No, yes? Nodding? Okay. 75.8 meters. That gets you 2 out of 2. As always, 1 mark, half mark, half mark. How long? I think this is a time question. And I'm going to go with time being VF minus VI over A. It's going to be 0 minus 24 divided by negative 3.8. Time, scalar or vector? On your test, by the way, I will expect you to know which ones are scalars and which ones are vectors, but I'll give you a specific list in your study guide, I think. Time, scalar or vector? There's a scalar. What that means is time can't be negative. Well, I watched the Star Trek episode. You won't know. Time can't be negative. Time is positive. By the way, you can absolutely travel through time. In fact, every single one of you has traveled through time. Every single one of you has been traveling, passing through a different time than the people next to you. It happens all the time, but you can only go forwards in time. And going forwards in time is really easy to do. Going backwards in time, it either requires infinite energy, which makes it impossible, or it may just plain be impossible, depending on which equations you look at. Anyways, although there's an argument that if we have the technology to tow a wormhole near to a black hole, there is a situation there that you might be able to look through the wormhole and see backwards in time. But we'll talk about that later. Weird stuff happens when you look at Einstein, but it's cool. Do you get 6.3? 6.32? Yes. 6.31? No, take a half mark off. I'll go 6.3. And this was seconds. And then turn the page. Car travels, speeds up, find the acceleration. Okay. A equals question mark. Looks like VI is 12, T is 6, D is 96. Ooh. Looks like I'm going to end up using this one's pretty yucky because I want to get the A by itself, so I'm going to go really meticulous. This time the VIT doesn't cancel. Well, we're going to start the same, Maggie. What's going to drop down like a domino? The D. Someone's getting a text message there. They're not that important. What am I trying to get by itself, Rihanna? So the VIT isn't attached to the A. I can move it over. How? What's it doing on that side? So how will I move it over? And then in my mind, I imagine a 0.5, an a, and a t squared. I've written it, but can you just imagine it there? How would I get the a by itself? What are the 0.5 and the t squared doing to the a? Multiplying. How will I move them over? Okay. The 0.5 and the t squared, that equals a. In this situation, I found it easier to replace the 1/2 with a 0.5 so that I didn't end up with a fraction inside of a fraction yuckiness. It's going to end up being 96 minus 12 times 6 divided by 0.5, 6 squared. Oh, I think I can do this in my head. It's going to be 96 take away 72. It's going to be 26 take away 2, 24. Half of 24 is the 24 divided by a half is 48. So it's going to be 48 over 36 divided by 6. That's going to give me 8 over 6. 4 over 3. Is it 1.33333333? Come on, you got to be a little impressed there. You did it without a calculator?
Yeah.
There you go. You got the game. Times tables and a few tricks of the trade, Oliver. Oliver, what's B want me to find? That sounds like a final velocity, right? Because it says after. That's my hint that it's final. The time has changed. Or has it? No. After 6 seconds. After 6 seconds. I'm not going to relist everything. It's the same situation as A. I'm just going to put VF equals question mark. I think I can find VF. Oliver, you look tired. You see you moving the hair back. I'm going to use my answer from A. I'm going to go VF equals VI plus AT. It's going to be 12 plus 1.3, repeating actually, times 6. Also, because I can do that in my head, 1.3 times 6 is going to be 6 plus 2 is going to be 8. 20 even, yes? No? Whew. Not meters per second squared, meters per second. 1 mark, half mark, half mark. You could also have used the D equals bracket VI plus VF close bracket over 2 times T, and you should get the same answer. If you didn't, lawyer with me later and I'll show you where you zig. 2 more, we're done. Looks like number 5 wants me to find D. It says assume the jet starts at rest, so I can assume VI is 0. Looks like VF is 84. Looks like A is 3.75. We did a question like this in our notes. This is actually pretty good data. This is roughly the numbers. I think I was looking up the Boeing 747 numbers, or I might even have been looking up the Airbus, the new big one numbers. I can't remember. But I tried to make these numbers realistic. What was that, Rihanna? Oh, it's Europe. So several countries in Europe have gotten together and they've built their equivalent of the Boeing 747. It's called the Airbus, and those are the 2 big ones out there. The Airbus has been around only for about 4 or 5 years. It's a pretty nice airplane. That's the one, though, that lost an engine out over the ocean and had to land in Newfoundland on that tiny airport. And they've removed the bad engine, but now they're also on this tiny airport having to figure out how can we have this thing take off on a runway that's way too small. Answer, lighten the load as much as possible. They may even end up strapping on a temporary fake support engine just to get it off the ground. Because they can fly with 1 engine, no problem. They're designed for that redundancy. But taking off and landing, they can do that too, but you need a long runway. They don't have that option there. I just bored Rihanna. Here we go. Hashtag nerd trivia. Sorry, Rihanna. I'm a bit of a nerd. 84 squared minus 0 squared all over 2 times 3.75. It's going to be 84 squared minus 0 squared. I probably didn't need to type the minus 0 squared, but I'll put it there just so you don't freak out. 2 times 3.75. Do you get 900? I'll go 941. 940.8. 940 if you went to 2 sig figs. I'll go 941. Is that right? And then I think when we did this one in class, I told you in real life you'd probably triple that distance just to add a nice safety margin. But you can't build it shorter than that. The last one was the RCMP investigation question. Looks like it wants us to find V initial when it started skidding. V initial. Looks like we have a distance of 42.5. It looks like the time involved was 1.6. That's not enough. I need something else because I need 3 things to find the fourth. Brian, what? Oh, we said in any car accident, I'm going to allow you to assume, unless the question says different, VF is going to be 0. The only way it couldn't be 0 if it was some kind of hit-and-run situation, but even then, typically they come to a stop and then take off. And I would clearly word it that way. Oh, we're going to use this one. D equals VI plus VF over 2 times T. And Brian, you pointed out that VF is 0, so that actually makes this a little cleaner. That turns this into D equals VI times T over 2. I can now get rid of the bracket because it's VI plus 0, which is just VI. How would I get the VI by itself? Times by 2, divide by D. I'll get VI equals 2 times D divided by T. It's going to be 2 times 42.5 divided by 1.6. 2 times 42.5 divided by 1.6. Do you get 53.125? I'll go 53 meters per second. Is that fast? If I wanted to convert that to kilometers per hour, yeah, this person was doing almost 200 kilometers per hour. They're probably in trouble. I would give you 1 mark for that, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answers. Can you give yourself a lovely score out of 20, please? So in the first video, we want to figure out how high the water heater went. And we said time total was about 13.6 seconds. 13.5, 13.6, ish. So the first thing I'd like to know is, then what's the time to the top? What would I do with that 13.6 if that's how long it took to go there and back? Oliver's reaching for his calculator, divide by 2. I might be able to do that in my head. 6.8? Yeah? Okay. Now that I've written time to top, I'm actually going to cross that out. We're going to start our timer at the top. Why? Because at the top, I also know my velocity. So my VI can be 0 at the top, and I know it took 6.8 seconds to get back down. Were we in free fall? What's the acceleration? Low. Yep. From that, can we calculate how far it fell, which would also be the same as how high it went? Yeah. I'm looking for an equation that's got a D, a VI, a T, and an A in it. Which one? Yeah, and I didn't bother doing the VIT, which is also why I said, why don't we start our timer at the top? It gives us a lovely VI is 0, and I know that. Okay. 0.5, negative 9.8. Now this is going to give us a negative answer because, Joel, we started timing at the top and we did fall down, but the positive answer will be the height. Just take the scalar value. What was it, 6.8 squared? Dylan, how high? 200. What? How high? Over 2 football fields. That's high. 226? 227, let's say. In fact, really, with our rough timing, probably 2 sig figs is about as accurate as we could go. 230, but I'll go that. And you got a negative, but we ignored it for the purposes because this question is asking for height. Okay. You guys should be more impressed. That's crazy high from water pressure. There is a guy in Chilliwack who builds water pressure rockets. Not the kind out of pop bottles, but very, very good ones. And he's getting them close to actually reaching outer space with nothing but water pressure. In other words, he's hitting the 100,000 foot, 30,000 meter or so, where you're already where there's very little atmosphere. Hashtag nerd trivia. Mateo, what's the second thing it wants me to find? Sure.
How fast the water?
What's that going to be in our little variable montage? I'll give you a hint. It's going to be a V. Which one? Okay, so now we're going to start our timer on the ground. We're going to say we know that VI is question mark. But now, if I'm starting on the ground, I know VF at the top, which was 0. A was still negative 9.8. Oh, what was our time? 6.8? Can I get a VI from that? Yeah. You could also find VI, I think, using D equals VIT plus a half AT squared, but that's a yuckier equation. Which equation, Jacqueline? How would I get the VI by itself? We haven't done this version very often, but how would I get the VI by itself? What do I do with the AT? Okay. So you're saying that VI is going to be VF minus AT. It's going to be 0 minus negative 9.8 times 6.8. And I love the fact that you get a minus minus, which is a, because it's definitely a positive velocity in our frame of reference, yes? I can almost do this in my head. 6.8 times 10, if I was doing this in a hurry. It's going to be just under 70, yes? I knew the answer is positive, so I didn't bother putting the negatives on my calculator. Say 6.6. Do me a favor, convert that to kilometers per hour just so we can put that into car speed. How do I go to kilometers per hour? It's something to do with a 3.6. Okay, so times by 3.6. How many kilometers per hour did it leave the ground at? What? Huh? That's more than Ferrari speed from water. It's pretty good. Okay. Second video. Put your pencils down. This is the world record vertical jump. We're going to get the height that this person jumped, and we would like to calculate their launch velocity, how fast they left the ground at. I think we're going to calculate VI. Pause my video. So we're going to make a little note here with our data. D equals 64 inches. You have your smartphones? In your Google app, convert 64 inches to meters. Or if you're really clever and you've learned how to make your smartphone sing, you may notice that your Google app has a little microphone and you can go convert 64 inches to meters.
64 inches equals 1.626 meters.
That's what you all got as well, yes? That's a conversion I'm not going to worry about or make you memorize. The one you are going to have to do on your own is the 3.6 kilometers per hour to meters per second and vice versa. And I figure asking you to go from minutes to seconds or to hours is fair game because, you know, life. What else did we know in that question? What's this question want us to find? Okay, so VI equals question mark. What else do we know in that question? VF was 0? What else? Once he left the ground, he was in free fall. Remember, free fall doesn't mean you're going down. It just means you're not touching anything. Only gravity is acting on you. You could still be traveling up, but you're accelerating down because you're slowing down if you're on your way up. Which equation has a D, a VI, a VF, and an A in it? Is it the squared one? So I'll write this one out because I don't think we've ever got the VI by itself. So let's do this one carefully. How would I get the VI by itself? Well, the VF squared is going to drop down like a domino. I'll minus the 2AD over. That would give me VI squared by itself. But, Nick, how to get rid of a squared? Oh. Oh, and what was VF? I probably didn't even need to write that. It's going to be negative 2 times A times D equals square root of that answer. With a bit of luck, this will give me a nice positive answer because the universe takes care of itself. It's going to be negative 9.8. Oh, wait a minute. There's a minus sign in front of the 2. So there's going to be a minus minus, which is a plus. Good thing. And D was 16.626. Square root 1.626 square. You get 5.6. Okay, and that's meters per second. Cole, before we move to the next question, is that a true measure of someone's vertical? Is that how you do it in basketball? So you know. So the problem there is he's bending his knees. So that's why when we did the little lab where I had you calculate your hang time, I made you reach up as high as you could and then stick a sticker as high as you could. And the difference between those two, that's your vertical because that removes the whole bending your knees issue. You kept your arms straight on both of them, so it should be an appropriate measure here. But what he did do, Cole, which was, it was definitely from a complete vertical start. He never even took one step up as a run-up or anything. So that part was legit. It was pretty high. Bart Simpson. Turn the page. Watch Bart Simpson. What'd you get for a time value? I didn't hear. 4.3? 4.6? Anybody else? 4.4? 4.5? So I'm hearing a little bit below 4.5, a little bit above 4.5. We'll assume as an average, some of you were too quick. 4.5 is a nice number to work with. Do I need to divide this one by 2? I think, no, this is a one-way trip. What else do we know? Oh, what are we trying to find? So we're trying to find, I think, VF, yes? What else do we know? VI was 0. And? Which is? Okay. We've done this equation an awful lot. It's the first one we started with. I think we're going to end up using VF equals VI plus AT, but I'm going to get the T by itself because I can. Sorry, I'm not trying to get the T by itself. I'm trying to get the VF by itself, Mr. Duick. It's a Friday and I'm tired. It's going to be AT. Why didn't I write VI plus AT? It's 0. And again, I'll never take marks off, but I'm saying if you notice that something is 0 and you don't feel like writing it, go ahead. It's going to be negative 9.8 times 4.5. Now, I get a negative answer. Should I get a negative answer? Yeah, oh yeah. And, Misha, was V final 0? No. Only time it's 0 is at the top for a split second if you're going on the way up. So I get negative 44.1 meters per second. Number 2 says convert that to kilometers per hour. That's going to be negative 44.1. Is it times by 3.6 or divide by 3.6? Times? Okay. Oh, negative 159. I'll round off to 3 sig figs. What's number 3 want us to find? D. I could use my time value. No, never mind. Yeah. I was going to say I could use V final to find D, but I think I can use D equals VIT plus a half A T squared. Yes? I think. And in fact, Mr. Duick, you were silly. I didn't need to write the VIT, did I? I was too locked in. I wasn't thinking and analyzing my data. So it's going to be 0.5, negative 9.8, 4.5, squared. This is going to give us a negative answer. We'll ignore the negative here because it's technically a height, but the negative makes sense because Bart did fall down. Negative 99.225. Negative 99, really? How long is the football field, roughly, in meters? Football players. How long is the football field, roughly, in meters? How long is the football field in yards? How long is the football field in meters, roughly? 100. Because the yard's only about that much shorter than a meter, Captain Obvious. So you ready, Christian? We're going to play this game again. How long is a football field, roughly, in meters? So Bart's treehouse is apparently a football field high, and this brings us to question number 4. Do you think the cartoon physics in this video is accurate? And convince me. Accurate, yes or no? No. Why? There's 2 reasons. Number 1, I've seen The Simpsons. I've seen the treehouse next to the house. There's no way it's 99 meters high unless their house is really, 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 really high. And number 2, why would Bart be dead? Well, 160 kilometers per hour. That's like getting hit by a car at 160 kilometers per hour. That's like getting hit by a car speeding on the freeway. Not likely survivable. Okay? So, number 4, we'll say no. Bad. Height. And right? Or whenever that clip was, I think it was from around 2008 where I stole that. You can just say Bart would be dead, but if you want to get artistic and dramatic, you can draw the little tombstone. What else can we do? So if you see some YouTube clips, we can certainly analyze some of them. A lot of the superhero movie trailers, you can analyze them. The only problem is a lot of the time they show them in slow motion, which means our time values are going to be skewed. But if you see one that's shown in real time, oh yeah, we can do some good physics there. What else? The last one, we're going to pick this up on Monday, is we're going to look at Felix Baumgartner's space jump that he did about 4 years ago, where he jumped from the edge of outer space. But for now, your homework is get caught up on any missing assignments over the weekend.